how's it going? I am Katie Brannon, and this is Tea Time True Crime with Katie. We have a very special edition today, kind of podcast. I have a special guest today, and I am absolutely honored and so excited to have a survivor here on the podcast. She is the survivor of, this monster has many names: the Snapshot Killer, the Beauty Queen Killer, and he is the what was it, the second Australian serial killer apparently of all time. Yeah, insane. So I'm going to lead the floor to Kris Conyers. Kris Conyers, thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Katie. Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, how is your day going so far?
It is good. I had a doctor's appointment and looking forward to getting on this with you today. And now we're here.
Awesome, awesome. So, to give a little rundown, but not too graphic, if you guys want to watch the Hulu series on Christopher Wilder, I want to say the name says it all, but I don't want to give him any positive context whatsoever because I feel like being wild can be fun, right? He was not fun. He was an absolute monster. So, if you guys want more details on the crimes he did, definitely check that out, and definitely check out the book that I have written down that is called Snapshot Killer by Duncan McNabb. I have not read that yet, and I have not seen the Hulu series yet. The only thing I've done for my research is I read that amazing article that I posted on TikTok recently and also on my podcast. So it is incredible to have Kris here to even give us her time. But I would like to know, let's start with a great foot. So what is something that you remember in your childhood, like one of your favorite foods, maybe a favorite candy or something like that?
Hmm. Well, my favorite foods is still what it is today, and that's tacos. That's for
Yes,
sure.
tacos.
So.
What what kind of tacos do you like?
I like the old-fashioned crunchy tacos, but I like it with sour cream, lettuce, cheese, and tomatoes.
Okay, that's
So.
exactly like my hubby likes it. Very nice. Very nice. Got some California blood in you, huh? No. Kris is from Palm Beach, Florida, and that is a very, very nice area. But back in the 80s, you guys, there was a monster in the mist. And now we just found out recently there could be some connections with Epstein. Could you kind of reiterate about that for me?
Well, the connections are loosely connected as far as how I feel the connections are, and other people that have worked with me is it was an example of a millionaire male having a different set of laws than what other people have. And a lot of, turning the blind eye. This seems to be a systematic failure in many areas. Um, but I didn't know that it was that way in my case as well. And that's what I feel is a systematic failure.
Okay.
Only recognizing people with money over young girls with a future.
Yeah, back in the 80s, because he did this throughout the 80s, right? And he did it in several states. So I looked that up and I was like, this guy was like going around. I mean, he didn't stay in Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, so with his I
When he was on his run for the rampage, yes, he did go through many, many states. But when he left Australia, Florida was his main home. He would go up into upstate New York prior to his rampage. But then once the rampage started, which was more like 83 going into early 84, that was all over, all over the United States.
yeah, that's insane.
He was on the run at that point.
Yeah, and he got like really sloppy, I guess is the forensic term, right? You get way too sloppy. Um yeah. It's weird
I
'cause
feel like he left his norms. He was more of a stalker, more of very familiarizing himself with his victims. But once he hit the rampage, that part of it went away. It was more just spur of the moment, grab, kill,
Yeah.
move on.
Okay, so I kind of do want to touch on that a little bit. We were talking a little bit, just a little bit, guys, before the podcast, setting things up. So what really fascinated both of us is that he did have stalker tendencies, and it wasn't just stalker. Like you said, he wanted to be a part of the family in kind of way after he brutally hurt you and another family member who does not want to be named. We want to consent to those wishes, of course. So he basically just wanted to be in your life more afterwards. Like, reiterate, did he call you guys or something like that afterwards?
Right. Well, in the beginning, prior to even being taken by him, he was calling at my house for me. And then afterwards, he called the very next 2 days after he took me, but he did not speak to me. They didn't let him speak to me. My mom, at that point, our phones did not have a what they call a trap. I always thought it was called a tap, but after I've read a report now, it was called a trap.
Hmm.
But so they did that after those two phone calls, and they weren't able to get it. But my mom, when I read the police report, I did see that my mom received phone calls from him the next day, which was the first I learned of it was reading the police report from when it happened because I didn't know, I wasn't privy to all the information being 11 years old. But then since then, working with, talking with Duncan and also Holly, who wrote the Palm Beach Post article, I learned that there was two girls in Australia, the same thing. He took them. In Australia, you ride the train. It sounds a little strange, but when he told me that two 15-year-old girls were put back on the train, but that's how you got around in Australia. The girls went to a certain area on a train. He took them to a hotel, abused them, brought them back to the train station, sent them home, and the very next day called the home and spoke to the father and asked for the girls. So he was known to do stuff like that. And then the very famous case here in the United States that happened just after me was Beth Kenyon, and she was dating him, is how they say. I think that was used very loosely, but he knew her family, knew knew all of her surrounding people. And in fact, when she went missing, he called her home and spoke to her father and said, "Yeah, I heard about Beth. It's so sad," when he knew that he had killed her.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything positive
He was
about
very
him, but he
brazen.
was very brazen and then apparently intelligent and charismatic, is what I kept reading about. Like, people liked him, you know? Which I was
Well,
like,
I guess.
yeah, I don't know why. I think, like you said, back in the 80s, I feel like that's Wall Street times too, right? Money was just like thrown everywhere. And I think also you mentioned the technology as well is not as great as it is today. So we don't always
Correct.
blame the police department, because I'm sure they probably couldn't sleep at night knowing they let him go. It's literally the court system that is absolutely just fractured, right?
That's what I felt. They kept
Yeah.
arresting him. That wasn't the problem. He was getting arrested, but then he would show up for court, and whether it be his finagling of being somewhat intelligent, of the court systems, and quite frankly, the court systems. The main case that sticks in my head is the case that happened just before me. He took two girls out of a cross-county mall in Palm Beach County. He drugged them with pizza. He had put LSD in their pizza. He had taken one of them, he had sent one of them back into the mall to do something and took one of them and essayed them, and then brought her back, and they both lived through that. But he was going up on trial for it, and it was a violation of probation because he was already on probation for an essay crime, and the judge gave him $1,000 bond, to a fee for violating his probation. And when that went out, it was 2 months later I was taken. in the same county.
So we could have like just stopped everything even before
Right.
what happened to you and your family member. We That's
Correct. It
awful.
could have stopped by just saying you violated probation and you're going to jail. And what's even worse about that is he was back in that same courtroom, even still prior to me being taken. And he had to go and ask for permission to leave the state to go back to Australia to stand trial for a double murder. And they knew that's why he was going back. And they said, sure, you can leave. But they didn't arrest him or keep him or anything. They let him out of their courtroom that day and gave him permission to go back to Australia.
I'm sorry, I just had the bad chills throughout my whole body. That is unbelievable, Kris. Holy crap. I don't want to open any wounds or anything like that. I know that he took you when you were in an El Camino, and I want to make it known that you did try to escape at first. Like, right? Like, he pulled over the first time, right? And you're like, no, this guy is
Correct.
bad vibes. I mean, I'm sure you don't really know that terminology back then because you're 11 years old, right? So
Right.
he came up to you the first time, right? And you're just like, mm-mm. So when he came up to you the second time, there was no escape. So when did you feel that knot in your stomach that you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Was that right when he saw you, or right when he had
Actually, the
you?
first knot was the first meeting. I already knew something was up.
Mm-hmm.
And then because that was just not that anything weird happened because he asked for directions and it happened to be luckily someone right there that was an adult and they started telling him where this was. You know, he was asking for directions to Congress Avenue. And the lady that was right there, she was up on a balcony. She started giving him directions. But I knew as soon as he asked us for directions, I was already going through in my head, don't talk to strangers, da 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 da.
Right.
I remember that explicitly going through my head. But when I turned the corner the second time and he was right there, well, there wasn't much time to think because he had my arm pretty quick. But it was my sister that was not under his control at that time because he had my arm and then he had a gun in his going across his chest, pointing at me. And he told me to grab my sister or he was going to shoot her. And that's when I grabbed her and we climbed over him in the car and got in the front seat. It was only a front seat car. So
Yeah,
that's how
Camino.
we were actually taken off the street. That's how that part happened.
The lady in the balcony, did she notice anything? Did anyone say anything like right when it happened, or?
Well, she didn't actually see us being taken because by that point we were out of her vision
Mm.
because we were on the other side of the street. He was able to circle back. It was a very small block. He was able to circle back and position himself to grab us when we hit that corner. Um, you know what I'm saying? It was just a very quick.
Yes.
He
Yes.
knew where we were going, and I'm sure we'll talk about that some too, but he already knew. He knew where we were going. He knew what the routine was.
Because he
Um,
stalked you. He stalked you. Do you
correct.
know how long he may have stalked you?
My little mind back then,
Yeah.
as far as the age I was, I know that there was numerous phone calls because it took me a couple phone calls to even realize it was a man because in the beginning he was posing as a woman from my school. So, and I went to a very strict Christian school. I
Oh.
was in a private school.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
I was very nervous to say anything like be rude to this person from my school. But in the beginning, it was a female, and I there was nothing really wrong with the phone conversations except for it was our secret. But then it was pretty like third phone call that I realized it was a man and inappropriate talk was going on. And then that's when I told my parents. So I would say that I talked on the phone maybe 3 to 4 times. And then I'm not sure how many calls that weren't answered.
Wow. So he showed up at your school dressed up like a woman, right?
No, 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 called me. saying that he was from my
Oh my
school.
gosh. Okay.
Talked to me
I was
as
like,
a
what?
woman.
I was like, oh my
No, no,
God, back
no.
in
He
the
didn't show up at
80s.
the school dressed up. No, he just was trying to say that I'm calling you and I'm a teacher from your
Got
school.
you. Got you.
Knowing in that area what kind of school it was, and probably that I would be real like, oh, okay, because it was a pretty strict Christian school. You're going to be respectful.
Yeah. So during the horrible attack, and I can't imagine, Kris. I can't. Um, I don't. Okay, how long did they, in the police report say like how long it took for him to like drop you off? I'm sure you felt like it was a bazillion years, but in the police report, how long were you gone until like,
The
your
first police officer was called. They
yeah.
say between 3 to 4 hours.
Oh my God.
They were not called until we came walking back up to my mom's beauty shop, and we were not supposed to tell what happened. That was what Christopher Wilder, he said that I have friends on the police department. You can't tell anybody. I will know. I know where you live. And then we just I remember breaking down as soon as I saw my mom, and it couldn't be a secret because, first of all, I thought we had been gone long enough that it was obvious something happened,
Right?
you know. But that's still, I don't understand how the police were not called earlier. This is still a missing piece for me.
I'm sorry.
Because I just don't understand it. I have, as an adult, I have more knowledge about why it could have happened because I've lived my life, and to be honest, I think my mom kind of dropped the ball that day, and she liked to have her lunches and have a few drinks. I think she thought we were at the library and that we would go back, and one of the girls at the shop, we'd be with them until she got
But
there.
you're not
But
16.
when
You're
the
10, 11
we
years
didn't show
old.
up,
You're 10
right?
and 11 years old. I don't understand that. I'm so sorry,
Right. And
Kris.
then, I mean, like, I'm sure there was many times we did come back before her lunch, and the girls at the shop, we'd just hang out with them because she had other work, people that
Yeah.
worked there.
Yeah.
But I think that particular day, I think that nobody said, hey, Av, your kids didn't come back or anything. I think that she found out when we showed up there because in the police report, and I've always questioned that, and I didn't know for sure the answer until recently, but the police report says that they were not called until we arrived back.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry,
But we were
Kris.
supposed to be at the library for a thing. That's why, I mean, we were supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah,
But
but you're
I just think that that particular day, she was relying on other people that we would just come back from the library and then be there. And then when she came back to the shop, we'd be there. And you know, I think that he probably knew that too, to be honest with you.
okay.
That's in the bottom of my soul.
Okay. So you think that you were just easy pickings kind of thing.
I think he knew the routine. I think he knew that we might not have been considered missing because I think he knew that our mom was not going to be around.
This is going to be a hard question to ask, but I do want to. When we say Christopher Wilder, if you guys don't know, he literally was a monster. I know we know about Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy, but Christopher Wilder was like, I don't know, I feel like he was worse than Rodney Alcala. Okay, that horrible guy. My thing is this is like, oh man, I just had it, but maybe I'm not supposed to say it. Did Why do you think that he left you and your sister alive?
Hmm.
What is your personal, like, in your soul?
Is it? I'm glad you asked me that, number one, because I thought I was the only one that really thought about that. But I have thought about that because it has been so murky to me as to why that would happen. Number one, I was supposed to be random. That's what I was fed my whole life. It was random. But I knew I was getting those calls beforehand, so it didn't make sense for it to be random. But it was my mother's secret for many, many decades that she knew him. So I now at 2017 is the year that I found out that she supposedly knew him. I understood that I wasn't random. So that made sense. But then the second part of it, it then started me thinking, well, why was I left alive? I think that I was left alive because I wasn't random, because he knew me.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't know him, I think it was because I was humanized to him. I also, I think he also wasn't really prepared for as young as I was too. I
I
think
agree with
that
you.
I think that maybe it was over exaggerated in front of him as how old I was. I was a skater. I was in modeling. I did look to be a little bit older than I was, and my mom was very much embellishment, and she would do it a lot out in public. So I don't know for real if he actually knew that I was only 11 at that point, to be honest.
I agree with you
But
there.
there's some things
Yeah.
that just doesn't make sense to me. But the other people that did survive, and people, because there's others that did survive, like the girl that he had almost during that rampage. If you go and listen to that, there was one girl that was alive that for was with him through the rampage, and in fact, he got her to get somebody for him, and she helped bring somebody to him. And that was, that I'm not at all blaming her. I've seen her story. I get it. I do understand when someone has you as a captor, and when she's seen some of the things that were happening to the other girls, I will not judge. And I know that when this all ended, she went through a lot with people judging her because one lady did die that she helped get in the car. So that was during the rampage. That was what happened in 84. That's what the Hulu series is all about. My case was 6, 7 months prior. He was already a serial killer. But my story is the side that has never been told. Hulu and all I think it was on Dateline and all these other shows was always about the rampage, what happened after when they were arresting him. His gig was up, and that's why he went on the rampage.
Yeah. But I'm confused about. Oh, just let you know, great news, guys, out of this whole podcast. Besides her amazing foundation, we're going to talk about at the end. So definitely stay tuned, okay? Is that he's no longer with us. He is no longer on this earth, okay? So I read that either he took his own life during the police thing, or a police officer got him. Which is the correct story, if you know, Kris?
It is one and the same, I think.
Right?
It's actually what had happened was he was at a gas station only 40 minutes from Canada. He was going.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at a gas station, and the police approached him. And as they approached him, he went to his car to grab the handgun out of the glove compartment, going across the driver's side, come back up to try to shoot at them, and shot himself because he was an idiot. Basically, I mean, like almost everything, like Duncan has told me so many things. He used to go around Australia saying he was a surfer, and nobody had ever seen him in water above his waist. So he says he was a photographer, but many times when he was caught with his camera, there was no film in it. He was one of those that was always like making up, like he probably didn't really know very much what to do with a gun. You know what I'm saying? He was not, I mean, he used it, okay, and he also, was able to kill women with it. But was he somebody that was at the shooting range or really knew proper? I really don't think so. I really don't think so.
Yeah, I want to know like what like I mean, I know he's not here, but like what made the impulse go, because that rampage was insane. I mean, the stabbings, I mean, he killed these women in horrible ways. Like they were never the same. So that's something that's also not normal, right? Because serial killers have an actual code, right? But
Yes,
these women
yes.
were like unalived. I don't know what I can say now anymore. Sorry. But they're not here anymore. But they were like, I mean, horrible things happened to them. I mean, he made them suffer. And I'm like, what do they do to you? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. I really feel towards the end, what had happened was is in 83, well, I was taken in June of 83, but the months leading up to that, he was already on trial in Australia for a double murder. And he was let out. He met his what I forget what they call it, his bail and everything. His parents had made his bail and everything, and he was allowed to come back to U.S. But he had to promise to go back for his trials. Well, the last time he was there, which was before he took me, but which was early 83, the writing on the wall was he was not in a good position there. So he pulled a fast one and said, I'm changing attorneys. So the courts then put it on another stay and let him leave. So he left and came back here, and I was taken a few months later. But quite frankly, I think that what had happened was one of the last I'm really bad. I don't like follow everything that he did. It's just been a blocker for me.
yeah,
But there was a girl in Miami that was taken out of a Grand Prix. It was late 83. It was after me. Um he was a race car driver. Christopher Wilder was in Australia. That's one thing known about him. Photographer and race car driver. Well, when she was taken, somebody had said she was seen with Christopher Wilder at the Grand Prix and he was a race car driver. He knew he was caught then and there, and that's when he left. He left the state of Florida and just started killing as he went and as he was just fleeing. The gig was up, he knew it. So I don't think he really cared what happened in the end. He wanted to do what he wanted to do until it was over.
he just seemed to be like a split personality with the people that he knew, and then the people that
Hmm.
he didn't know. You know what I'm
For
saying? Like
sure.
he
Even a
truly,
smoker. He was a split personality smoker. Like most people knew him as a non-smoker, but the day he took us, that was one thing that we nailed him down to because he was smoking very thin black cigarettes, dark cigarettes, and they weren't widely sold. So the police officers that day after we took them to where he took us, then we started talking about the cigarettes. So then they started taking us to convenience stores to find the pack and we finally found it, but we had gone to quite a few, so it wasn't a widely smoked cigarette, but it was not something he did all the time. It was when he was on his split personality, and that you are right about that. There was a lot of split personality stuff.
yeah. What I read a little bit of it because I really just wanted to hear from you and everything. So what was other qualities? Because one thing you guys have to know is Kris was only 11 years old, okay? And she gave so much detail to the police department. They were shocked because usually trauma people, I don't like to say victims because nobody wants to be a victim, am I right? So,
Right.
people who have trauma, you tend to forget everything. Your brain tends to block everything out to protect your nervous system and psyche. But Kris remembered a lot. What is some of the other qualities? The long black cigarette. That's wild. Like he's
Right.
a different person.
There
Like
was
what?
there was other things that were in the police report. Now, I will tell you that I wouldn't know anything of these things if it wasn't for seeing the police report. I mean, I have memories, but then there was some memories that I'm like, man, is that true? Like, for instance, I always thought they tapped our phone, trapped our phone, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, am I making that up? I mean, like, did they really tap my phone? And then I go back and I read the police report. I'm like, yeah, they did. And then I also remember them flying a helicopter because, okay, so after the phone incident, they're like, they told my dad, can you get you guys out of town for a while? He obviously knows where you're at, blah, blah, blah. So we went to a place on the other side of Florida, and I guess they had some kind of clue or something. They wanted us to see it right away, so they flew a helicopter over. And I'm like, did I make that up? I mean, did that really happen? So there's things in that police report that honestly I wouldn't have been able to tell you if I hadn't seen it, but there's also I have a lot of memory. And but some of the big details that we gave was what kind of car he was driving. That's extremely important because that should have been the end of it right then and there, as far as I'm concerned. We were able to take them back to the spot that he took us and S8 us at, where there was a what I know now to be a painter's cloth, which I didn't know it to be that at the time. I would have called it blanket, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there was some other things there that were very good evidence that had DNA on it. Um, and so they were able to get a ton of evidence that day and just bring him back, bringing the police to that spot. When he took us, he deliberately drove into parking lots trying to make us not know where we were going, turning around a lot. And we were able to bring the police. We were in a small town in Boynton. He took us all the way out into West Palm, and it was a wooded area. And when the police, I read the report, and they were like, "These girls would never get us back to this spot." And then they're like, "Holy crap, they got us to this spot where they were able to find all that stuff." And so that right there was probably a pretty big feat in itself. I
Yeah.
mean, being 11 years old, you're not driving yet. You don't know. I mean, let's be honest. 30 miles away from, maybe 15 miles away from your house, you don't know. Not at 11.
That's amazing.
But
I still get lost. I can get lost in a paper bag. You know what I'm saying? Like, I cannot live without my
I,
GPS.
I've gotten worse with the GPS, but I've always been good with directions. But the GPS is actually making me worse. I'm getting lazy.
No,
It's
I hear you.
amazing.
I hear you. So that is absolutely amazing. 30 miles, and you're like, I remember. I remember where he was. Wow. Parking lot. So he was just trying
Other
to,
than
like,
West Palm.
wow. But
He like pulled into Burger King, went around in a circle, and then came back out. And we almost had to take the police on the same exact drive. So I do remember that. But the car thing, I just have to hit on that
yeah,
because
please.
when I was younger and that happened because of my childhood, it was a subject that was not allowed to be spoken of. It was something very shameful. So I only knew what I knew, and it was not anything I could expand on or share or learn about or anything. And at the time, it really is fine. But after having this year with the Palm Beach Post, Holly, it was like having an investigator. And when she got that police report, um, it was really, I always thought, and I still do, and I don't want to be rude about it, but I thought these policemen were heroes that when I was younger because of all that I thought that they were doing. But I don't know. Now I look back on it, and I do know a lot of it was the court system, but he was led away with a lot. He did not get he was slipping through. People say slipping through, turning a blind eye. I don't even know how to put it. But to see that we told them that he was driving an El Camino, which is not even a very, even in the early 80s, was not even a very popular car. And the fact that blocks away from where we were taken, he had a construction company where he had three El Caminos. And in between where I was taken and his construction company is the police station. I'm like, how do you not have him the next day?
Yeah.
And he has priors. He has priors. Now, granted, I'm in Boynton Beach in the city. They're all handling it. Palm Beach County as a whole has him as priors. He's been arrested. He's been through a jury. You talked about that case, this case with a stick shift. Ridiculous. He had already been through all that, so he has a record in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
But it just all didn't all mesh together. And from what I understand, they were looking for, because I was only 11, they were looking for a pedophile. Christopher Wilder was more known to rape young teenagers, women. Um, in the police report, when they were trying to say why they didn't go to him first, They had three suspects that they were nailing a lot. You could tell how many times they were pulling him into the station. They got them in front of us on live lineups. I remember, where you go in and say yes,
Yeah.
no, yeah, the whole 9 yards. We never, they had three guys that they really thought that that was one of them. We never identified them in a lineup. But then they brought us a picture of Christopher Wilder after he was already on the rampage, and we identified him immediately.
Oh my gosh. And those who don't know about this stick shift thing, Kris is an amazing, empowering woman, and she was talking about how it's, technology and maybe think, they just weren't like trained right. I mean, who knows with the police department, but you got to hear this. It's not funny. I smile and I laugh when it's awkward because I'm just like, I can't believe this happened. I even read it to my husband, and George was like, "You got to be kidding me." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did he have magical powers?" Like, I don't understand. So he took this girl, 19 years old, right? And he assaulted her in a vehicle. Now, the judge threw the case out because he said there's no way you can rape someone in the front seat of a car because the stick shift will be in the way. So they threw the case out. So yeah, I'm just bringing you guys up to speed. That's how unbelievable it is. So this guy Svengali'd like everyone who he met.
I do believe that case was late 70s. And then by, I would say, early 80s, he had gotten another in Palm Beach County. He had gotten picked up for the two girls at the Cross County Mall and charged on that one, but was able to do probation and do his psychology treatment. And he even admitted to the police that he had a problem. I mean, it was in their report that he admitted that he had a problem, but he was going to get therapy. And so then he's put on probation and he gets another sexual crime. And he goes before the judge and they gave him $1,000 fine
That's crazy.
for violating probation. 2 months later, he took me.
I just don't think people, even nowadays, take rape very seriously, To me, it's a death. It is a death of your innocence. It is a death of, just, I don't know, like that is your temple. That is your special place. And when someone who is not allowed to be in there, whether you're male or female, okay, no one has any right to put their hands on you. And I think that people just didn't believe you, Kris. And I'm so, so sorry. I don't think the judges believed you. I mean, I don't know why. Because you literally did everything you were supposed to do. You went up and
Right.
beyond as the best witness I've ever heard, honestly. And I look up a lot of
Right.
true crime. You know what I'm saying? And I am like appalled about like this case. But again, I am so honored that you talked with us today, and I'm going to go and let you have the floor and talk about your amazing foundation and how your healing journey has been for like 4 decades, and how you are going to help future, women who, I mean, we hope it stops, right? But unfortunately, where there's love, there's going to be hate, okay? But I think it's important to keep educating people. And I would like you to talk about your awesome foundation yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Okay. Well, thank you for that opportunity. The first thing I'd like to say is yes. I mean, what you said hit the nail. I just spoke to someone yesterday about this. I don't think, first of all, being able to choose whether or not you would like someone to um do anything with your own body, it should be a God-given right that we have the choice to make that. But I have to be realistic. And I'm sorry to say that is not our God-given right at this point in our society. It's not just something that we get, unfortunately. And I hope to change that. I think it's a tall order, but you have to have some kind of dream or, but I guess what most importantly is because we can't change that, we need to come up with a defense. And we also need to keep fighting for it and keep awareness there. And I started the nonprofit Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow Women. I wanted to use yesterday's knowledge, that what we've learned, what my generation has learned, regarding um, being essayed, regarding, I say self-image. Self-image is such a pillar for me. But being happy in our self-image. And I just I just feel like I wanted to take the Me Too movement further and do something to put action to it. And they hear us now is the hashtag that I came up with because they hear us now and we are going to, use that platform and try to make change. That's for our tomorrow women. Our tomorrow women deserve hope. And I really want to give that to them.
Yeah, that's amazing. What would you say to a woman who is going through something like, you know, before the podcast, we were talking about when something like SA happens, you feel shame, you feel dirty,
Mm.
you feel it's all your fault, you feel like you had it coming, which is
Hmm.
disgusting. Okay, what is something that you would say to a woman who is suffering in silence?
Okay, so this is a big thing. Uh, One thing is for sure, you have to understand that you have done nothing to deserve it. That's number one. But these are just words, and I heard these words too. And you have to feel those words. You have to be ready to receive those words. And there is a lot of steps that probably get you there because I know I heard these words that it wasn't my fault. That, I also heard words that, you need to put this behind you. These are sometimes very triggering words. To me, when someone says, that happened a long time ago, you have to come off underneath that. That put all that burden on me. Like it's my job, my responsibility. When truly for a victim, that's so triggering because we did nothing to actually be here. So now you're telling me I have to fix it too. And that's hard. And that was a big area for me. Um, I think another thing that will help you get to this healing spot is to understand that sometimes opening up what your subconscious and your conscience actually know is very important. I know with me, it really made a difference when I realized um, I had a subconscious memories that were keeping many things from hurting me. But going through this year, I was able to learn the whole story. So now my conscious was knowing what the subconscious was knowing the whole time. And for me, it was an extreme moment of healing because I I noticed it in my body immediately from the anxious, the anxiety, the feeling of dread. A lot of that went away. And it wasn't like I noticed it like a light switch. It was like weeks later, I was like, hmm. And I'm like, something has changed. And it really was having a reconciliation because you said many women are, don't, I feel like we don't really give ourselves, I'm trying to word this the right way. I feel like I didn't even know how serious it was. And I didn't give myself a break of how serious it was. And understanding it that and seeing how serious it was, it made a big difference. It didn't make me feel weak and it didn't make me relive it. It just made me realize it. And I think that's a very big beginning because now when someone says what happened to you was truly horrible, I can receive that now. Where before I couldn't receive that. It was a weird feeling. It was like, I don't know. I mean, was it? I mean, I know that sounds funny, but
No,
it is really truthful.
it does.
And now I can receive those things. I mean, a lot of people through this whole thing, because I am starting a nonprofit, they're like, you really got to lean in on your survivor of a serial killer. And I'm like, that just sounds so corny. It's so, but I'm actually able to now sit back and say, well, how many people really have survived a serial killer? And yeah, maybe it's not
Rare.
so corny. And,
Rare.
and, I mean, maybe I am one in a few million, I mean, and that's okay. I'm gonna receive that. And it's just really, it's really helped me. So yes, I think for me to sit here and tell someone that's suffering right now that it's not your fault, you did nothing to deserve it. I'm just going to tell you right now, my words are not going to do it. It's going to have to be much more than that. They're not going to receive it until they can receive it. And that's so sad. I understand it, but I do want them to know it wasn't their fault. But there's so much more steps to it to be able to receive it.
That's amazing. Wow, that's an incredible answer, Kris. Woo, I'm like,
Sorry,
no, I'm like,
long-winded, but
no, don't, please don't apologize. I'm like, is somebody cutting onions here? Like, oh my gosh. Where can we find you? You're on social media. I'm sure if that's okay with you, some women might want to reach out to you. Perhaps other sources of maybe podcasting. I mean, I'm honored that you're on my little indie podcast, which means the world. Thank you again. But where can we find you on the social? You have a TikTok, right?
I do have a TikTok, which I am very scared of, but yes, I have a TikTok.
It won't
Um,
bite.
and if I'm wrong about this, Kate, correct me, but I think my TikTok is at Kris_Conyers. I do believe that's it. Now my Facebook, I'm a little bit, I'm in that generation, and that is yesterday, today, tomorrow, women, all spelt out.
Hmm.
But it's very hard to run a nonprofit with just the Facebook and the TikTok. And I'm really working on my website, and I hope to have it up before June is over. It's expensive. It's not something I'm ending up doing it myself. I'm really trying to work on it, but that's going to be key because I know a lot of people have been trying to maybe make a donation or something like that, and they have no idea where to go. I'm like, it's on Facebook, but you have to scroll through all the posts to find it. So they're like, we don't know where to go. So I do have a website coming up, and I also am so happy that I just got on our local SART team, which is a sexual abuse response team. Every county has it. There is a 1-800 number. It is for everyone has it. The states put those on. And I am going to be able to be a responder, and I'm really excited about that. That's the big thing right now.
That's amazing. And I just have a question. I know Facebook and technology can be like, do you have the foundation pinned to your Facebook? Like, do you have the post pinned to the top?
Okay, I don't even know what that language is, but I will
You're
ask
good. You know
somebody.
what? After we jump off, I will share my screen, Queen, and then we'll just have it done. All right? It'll take like 5 seconds, and we can totally do that, and I'll share it on my pages as well. But
Okay.
yes, is there anything you would like to say before I close the floor?
I'm sure I'll probably think of 50 things I wish I would have said after we're done, but you'll just have to have me back or something.
Yeah, I would totally love to have you back. And, I really wish you keep healing on your journey. And again, you have no idea how incredible you are. You're extremely empowering. And thank you for letting me do part of your birth chart. That meant a lot. That was
Fun. That was so
fun,
much fun.
right? That was
Yeah.
so
Well,
much
you
fun.
are so much fun.
Oh, I just want the story to come out there because, you are going to help so many people, Kris. You have no idea. But thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh,
And
I thought of one more thing.
yes, girl,
I did.
please.
I am writing a book.
Oh
And
my
this is a big
gosh.
thing. I forgot all about it.
No, you're good.
I'm
Yes.
writing a book, and it's in pre-sale, and
Mm-hmm.
it's called "Can You Hear Me Now?" And it will be, yes, we'll hit the sensationalized Christopher Wilder stuff, and I say that so,
Ugh.
but
Boo.
I, but it's
Yeah.
really a book about my healing journey. And honestly, I mean, this is another thing. I would never sit here and say that I'm an expert on anything because that's just my personality. But
It's your
I feel like
story.
this journey, eh, in a higher power, God was filling me with a lot of stuff. And I do think I have quite a few things that would help women go through a healing journey. And I won't say the word expert, but I do think I have some things to share. So,
Yes, you have been through things that a lot of people will never ever have in their lifetime, which is a blessing, of course. But is it
right.
going to be on Kindle? Right? I got to add it to my Kindle. Right?
Yeah, so I don't know. We're doing pre-sales and that's at krisconyersbook.com. I have my own website, and
Okay.
I'm sure that when it comes out, right now it says paperback and then hardback, and then there's also digital. I do
Nice.
believe.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm so excited, and you're gonna have a book, and make sure we have white candles and good vibes going on. Right?
Oh, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And next time I'll
Yeah.
join you in the theater.
Oh, right. Yeah, I will teach you. This is a cool background. I usually have like Hawaiian with my clients, and I'm like, this is not a Hawaiian type of background kind of time. You know
No,
what I'm
it's kind of
saying?
sad because I'm a happy person, and it's like, yeah, you don't like to talk about this like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, appreciated.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I am feeling good. I think this has turned out okay. I was nervous.
Nothing to be nervous about, honestly.
Uh,
You're gonna make a difference in so many people's lives. I know it. But yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
guys so much. I will put all the descriptions below. I will get more of your information, Kris. Follow her on TikTok, get her book, and unfortunately, I might have to see the Hulu series, but I may not. I don't know. I read a lot, and I'm like, I don't know. This guy should not have any breath of anybody's time. So we don't want to sensationalize, right? We don't want to just make it all about him.
Mm-mm.
No, we want to make it about the women who are silenced. And she is no
Yeah.
longer silenced, ladies and gentlemen. I
Nope.
absolutely love it. So you guys have an amazing day. Remember, like I always say, you are loved, you are cherished, and remember, right, Kris, you are doing better than you think. Bye,
Then you
everybody.
think,
Thank
yes.
you.
Bye.